Humanity was driven off the land by the threat of magical armored beetles and now live in aerial floating cities. Its defenses lie in wizards who fight the insects with magic in midair. In the beginning of the episode, the fire team S128, consisting of Kanata Age, Chloe 70, Yuri Floster, and Lloyd Alwyn, are fighting the beetles' arcaners. Kanata decides to lure the beetles away and fights them alone. Fast forward 6 months, the leader of Sky Wizards, Freon Flammel, asks Chloe to assign an instructor to the fire team E601 consisting of Mizora Ital, Lecty Eisenach, and Rico Flammel because of their consecutive losses and bad performance. Chloe chooses Kanata to be their instructor. Kanata, now known as a traitor, works in the logistics department. He is told by Lloyd that the Sky Wizards leader wants to see him. On his way to the academy, he unknowingly meets all the members of the E601 team, and because of how they meet, he is dubbed a pervert by the 3 of them. Freon officially appoints Kanata and the journey of Kanata, the traitor and pervert, as E601's instructor begins. Mizora is reluctant in accepting Kanata as their instructor, but he says that if they have a problem, they can take it up with the Sky Wizards department. He says that he, who is also known as Kronos, can make them stronger, even more than himself, and they would be able to defeat the strongest teams. Rico disagrees and says that as a goddess, she doesn't need to train, but Kanata says he hasn't seen her skill, and according to Sky Wizards data, her ability is lower than Mizora. She reluctantly agrees, but warns him not to fall in love with her after seeing her performance. Meanwhile, Yuri asks Chloe if Kanata is still treated as on sick leave. Chloe says that it's the 6th time she asked her that in the past week. She says that Kanata is still not ready to go out on missions and is now the instructor of an E-rank fire team, as per her request. Yuri gets angry about how he gets away with not assisting his own fire team, working in logistics, and now as an instructor. Chloe tells her not to speak badly about Kanata and says that he also wants to defend the peace of the city. Up in the sky, Kanata takes the E601 on a trial run and finds that they have 0 teamwork. He also finds that Mizora, while brash, has decent and stamina. Lecty has powerful moves but gets nervous while facing an enemy and becomes inconsistent. He was impressed with Rico's strategy of combining Lecty's hand-to-hand combat with her sniping skills, but says that her moves were telegraphed. Later in the locker room, while the 3 were changing and Mizora was upset about her small chest size, Kanata, with his bad or amazing timing, arrives to inform them about their training and gets labeled as a pervert once more. Kanata begins the training of E601, but Rico refuses to participate and leaves. After she leaves, he begins the training of the other 2. For Lecty's training, he has her dress up as a maid and hand out flyers for a cafe called Garden Terrace, and for Misora's, he tells her follow and spy on Rico to find if Rico had any weakness. Mizora tries to follow Rico discreetly, but is soon found out by her. To continue her training, she asks Rico if she could go shopping with her, but is unable to find any weakness, except for her love of cute things. Lecty, although she was initially nervous, is eventually able to hand out the flyers. But Kanata, who had come to the cafe for a coffee, tells her that for her next training, she will be working as a waitress for the cafe, which makes Lecty very nervous. Meanwhile, on her way from the school cafeteria, Yuri collides with Real Nua, a researcher from the alchemist's department, and spills her drink on him. It is love at first sight for Real. Yuri apologizes and starts wiping down his trousers with her handkerchief, but Chloe calls her, and she leaves in a hurry, leaving her handkerchief with Real. Back at the cafe, Lecty is unable to attend the customers because of her nervousness and social anxiousness and runs away. Mizora finds her and decides to help her, but since Kanata had bought only 2 dresses, Mizora ends up dressing as a bunny girl. A still nervous Lecty is called by Lloyd, who had seen her run away from people. He asks her if it was difficult for her to speak with people. He says that her difficulty, in a sense, is her weakness. He tells her to trust her instructor and gain inspiration from Mizora. Seeing Mizora working hard, Lecty gains confidence and turns to thank Lloyd, but finds that he had already left. Following Misora's example, she was able to attend and serve the customers. Freon, On seeing the two E601 members working, gets curious as to what the traitor was planning. Later, Mizora complains to Kanata about their training, but Lecty asks if he knew about her social anxiety and nervousness. He replies that with her being a Izanok and her powerful skills, it should have been a pretty good fight when they fought previously during their trial run, but she wasn't able to show her true skills because of her anxiousness. Lecty says that she hates herself for being anxious and nervous while facing people, but Kanata tells her not to worry about it, and says that nobody in the world is completely satisfied with themselves, and since she now knows her problem, she can also find its solution. Kanata then asks Mizora if she had succeeded in her training, but she admits she failed. He then buys ice cream for both of them as reward. Mizora then asks why is he rewarding her when she not only failed her training, but also failed as a team leader in not knowing about Lecty's problem. Kanata replies that she learned that she had much to learn, which was progress. He then tells Lecty to continue her training and tells Mizora that she didn't need to follow Riko anymore since her exercise was to clarify her weakness. Overcoming it would be another training entirely. Later at night, Chloe sneaks into Kanata's room. Kanata says she can't because it was the men's dorm. She says it's fine, and just like old times. She sees him looking at Misora's data at the computer and asks what has he planned for her. The next day, Kanata tells Mizora to switch from Vanguard Magic Cannon sword to Middle Guard Magic Cannon because of her zero talent in sword fighting but high magical reserves and stamina. She gets upset and refuses and says that she won't accept this even if it could make her stronger. She says she was a fool to think that he would be a decent instructor and leaves a room. In another floating city, Iris, a woman with red hair, is fighting the beetles and is able to destroy them single-handedly. The woman is Sosi Wital, the deceased mother of Mizora. In the present, Mizora is standing by her mother's grave at the Hills of Hope, the last resting place of Sky Wizards. Lecty, who is continuing her training by working as a maid, is greeted by Lloyd when she arrives at the Sky Wizards leader office to give them their coffee. Lecty, on her way back, finds Riko and asks her to train with her because Mizora has been skipping school for the past few days, but Riko refuses and says that sweaty training is not made for a goddess like her. Lecty then says that now she will have to rely on Kanata. Riko gets curious and asks Lecty her reason for trusting him so much. Lecty replies that she was worried first. Meanwhile, a love-struck Rio is waiting to give Yuri's handkerchief back to her along with a love letter placed inside the handkerchief. But before he is able to do so, he spots Kanata and Yuri talking. Yuri was berating Kanata about skipping the training of E601 and says that she was worried that he might betray them too. Kanata doesn't reply to her comment and instead thanks her for worrying about them and leaves. Seeing this, the handkerchief and the letter falls from Rio's hands, and from this point onwards, he starts hating Kanata. Kanata then goes to the restaurant Little Wing, which is also the home of the Wital family. Mizora gets angry at seeing Kanata. Her father, Gale, scolds her, but she tells him to stay out of it. Kanata comments on how Gale and Mizora don't look alike, and Gale laughs and admits that she looks like her mother, Sosi. Mizora then leaves, and Gale apologizes for her behavior. Kanata then asks Gale about Misora's fixation on the magic cannon sword. Gale, on hearing this, realizes that Kanata is not just a simple acquaintance of Mizora. Kanata admits that he is Misora's instructor and wants her to get stronger. In another flashback, a young Mizora and Gale are waiting for Sosi to return home from another battle. Sosi arrives and embraces her family. The citizens of Iris thank her for protecting them and the city. Sosi, although one of the strongest magic cannon sword users, is terrible and clumsy at household work. After some time, when Sosi is again away on a mission, Mizora asks her father about her mother's return. Gale replies that they don't have a mother in the house. She gets worried and runs around the town asking people about her mother. She finds that they don't know any Sosi. Soon after, some officials arrive with Sosi's sword and tell Mizora and Gale about her death on the battlefield. Gale then realizes that he has lost all memories of her wife, and Mizora accepts the sword and vows to be a sky wizard like her mother. In the present, Mizora, who has left her home, is upset about not being able to get stronger. Kanata finds her, and they go to the Hills of Hope. Mizora gets angry at her father for telling Kanata about her mother, but Kanata tells her that Gale told him because he was worried about her. Kanata then tells her to vow on her mother's grave to abandon the magic cannon sword, but she refuses and says that the sword represents her mother, her will and her memories, and a traitor couldn't understand that. Kanata then asks if her mother's goal was to protect everyone, or just the sword, while thinking about the conversation between him and Gale. Mizora then asks if this was all a test. He replies that the path she wants to take is difficult and wanted to test her resolve. He then tells her to vow on her mother's grave to become even stronger than Sosi and protect everyone and also herself. The next day, Lecty is very happy to see Mizora on the wizard training with her. Mizora flies away after Lecty, offering a quick thanks to Kanata. Riko, who is standing on a balcony watching the three, admits that the instructor might be interesting after all. The episode begins with Riko dreaming of herself as a little girl, unsuccessfully chasing after her successful older sister Freon, surrounded by her admirers. The dream is broken by Freon scolding Riko for sleeping till late in the morning. Then, while taking a bath, she is startled by seeing something in the shower. At a cafe, Lloyd, who is sitting with Kanata, is impressed with him. When Kanata asks him how, Yuri interrupts them and says that Lloyd means how could Kanata stand being hated by the entire Mistgun City. Both of them ignore her and keep talking about the fire team E571, the next opponent of E601. Yuri then remembers how they used to fight the Beatles together and leaves while saying that she hopes he's not just all talk. Riko arrives at the cafe and Kanata asks her if she is getting lunch. She replies that she just arrived at the school. She then spots the data about E571 on the table and asks him about it. He replies that with Lecty and Mizora, they might have a fighting chance. The two girls then go to Riko and ask her to join the training, knowing that Kanata can improve her skills too. Riko refuses, saying that Kanata has shown no interest in training her. Mizora then drops down on her knees and was going to start begging Riko for her help, but Kanata arrives and lifts her off the ground literally. Kanata says that he knew Mizora would never turn down an offer for ice cream until she had something on her mind. Kanata then says he agrees with Riko that fighting when you know you would lose is uncool, but he is also not the type to whine about not having a chance either. On her way to the academy, she spots Real, who is spying on Yuri while she is training. Real is wondering how could a person like Yuri be acquainted with a traitor, and thinks that Kanata must have tricked her. Riko asks Real if he's a stalker, but he runs away. Kanata has begun teaching Mizora the special move, Strike Blaster, a one-hit kill move which shoots concentrated magic laser beams